Well, Timbuktu is just this most amazing, otherworldly kind of place. We were blown away by it when we first arrived. Even the name is sort of mythical. Timbuktu, the idea of a place that's such a very long way from anywhere else. It used to be on the tourist trail for the more adventurous travellers, and it's hardly surprising when you see it. But that all stopped a few years ago when Islamic extremists took over the city and imposed Sharia law, and then they tried to destroy priceless manuscripts that the ancient Tuareg families had kept for generations, for centuries. The Imam, the main mosque, showed us some of his, dug out of a cardboard box because he'd hidden them from the jihadists. It's 2 years, 2.5 years since they left, but still he hasn't put them out on the shelves yet. It's hard to imagine now, but this place was once famous all over the world as being a centre of learning. Maths, theology and Islam, and all these beautiful crumbling manuscripts prove it. I hope you like the drone footage, by the way. One of the guys from the UN brought one along with him. Thanks very much, Olivier. And he got the most amazing stuff for us. The kids by the mosque hadn't seen one before and they got way too excited. The reason we came here was to meet some of the peacekeepers from the UN, the blue helmets they call them. There are about 14,000 in Mali from around 50 different countries, many stationed in the most dangerous bit, which is here in northern Mali, right on the edge of the Sahara Desert. After a year running Timbuktu and other cities up here, the French troops actually forced jihadists out, and the UN is now trying to keep them out. And although we didn't see many, there's still a load of French troops around, lots of special forces targeting groups of extremists. It's really complicated trying to work out who's who. There are all these Tuareg separatist groups who fought each other for years and now have a peace deal going. Then mix in all the bandits, people traffickers and drug smugglers in this wide open space, and it's way too hard to explain. An alphabet soup of French acronyms. You'd imagine it's all desert up here, but the Niger River is Timbuktu's lifeline and trading hub. We went out on loads of different UN patrols with different countries, some soldiers, some police. This one was by a little port and was with troops from Burkina Faso. They've given more here than anyone else, about 1,600 troops. Most of MUNISMA, as the UN mission is called, come from countries in the region, but still the jihadists target them in the same way they do Westerners. It's classic counterinsurgency tactics, because a big threat is roadside bombs or suicide bombers, like it was in Iraq or Afghanistan. So they go out and try and win people over, showing they're around, keeping an eye on things and trying to get info. The guys from the Bangladeshi Navy were great. After a curried egg breakfast, they took us out on a river patrol. A bit tricky, landing a drone on a boat, but it stayed dry, and we used quite a bit of the footage in our news story. It's a great perspective. It makes you realise how big the spaces are here. It's really tough to try and keep an eye on what's going on in a place like this. Even going out at night, I'm glad to say there were no attacks. And after being told by an intelligence guy afterwards that there's an Al-Qaeda-linked group operating just outside Timbuktu, we were even happier to have been wearing the body armour. It was a full moon and a good place to sum up this idea of it being quite familiar, this whole operation and the way it's being run. What the UN is doing here is very reminiscent of what British troops were doing in Afghanistan. It's about coming out and showing a sign of force, about winning the hearts and minds of local people, and also defending against roadside bombs and suicide attacks. But yet this is supposed to be a peacekeeping operation. Mali's the most dangerous place to be a UN peacekeeper. Around 60 have died, around 200 injured, and I suppose the question is why? Why are so many UN troops in Mali of all places? Well, when you think about it, Timbuktu's not that far away anymore. Just one country, Algeria, and the Mediterranean Sea lie between here and Europe. This part of the Sahara is firmly on the cocaine trail, the new route from South America, and migrants pass through here too. Some call it the new front line against Islamic extremists, and this mission is certainly a big investment, and by the looks of things, they're in it for the long haul. We may well be hearing more from Mali.